And we have a great guest coming up, Josh.
Yes, this guy is not a fugazi like Drake. This man has raced and won over 5,200 races, Nick. It is the legendary jockey Tony Black joining us here on the Locker Room on 97.3 ESPN. Tony, we got Josh, Nick, and Jeffrey Nash from FastlaneHandicapper.com. How you doing today?
I'm glad they're handicappers, because that's one thing most jocks aren't very good at, is handicapping. Because when you say I rode 33,000, 34,000 races and I only won 5,200, that means I got beat 29,000 times.
Well, listen, winning that many races is an incredible accomplishment. Obviously, in recent years, you were inducted into Philadelphia Sports Hall of Fame. For you mentioned all the races you ran in, though. What was the key for you to prepare to run in that many races over that period of time?
When you ride 34,000 races and you get into the middle of your career, you don't focus on what race it is and, boy, this is a highly prestigious race. Oh, I've got a lot of pressure on. You just go out there and do what you know what to do or how to do. And you go out there and you ride the race and you ride it as it comes up. And a lot of times you have the advantage of riding horses, multiple times, or you've ridden other horses in that race, and you kind of know how the race is going to set up. One of the worst things I could do is over-strategize a race and look at the form and say, oh, this is definitely the speed, this is the come from behind, this is the middle of the pack horse. Over-strategy is probably one of the biggest things that get better horses or good horses beat. When you ride a race and you let it unfold as it may, unfold in front of you as it may, and you react to what you're seeing, not what you were going to try to predict, you usually do the right thing.
Hey, Tony, this is Jeff Nash. I want to say, first, it's an honor to be on the radio with you. In the horse racing world, especially in the Delaware Valley, you are iconic. I have won many, many times with you, so I want to thank you for those earnings. And it's a great pleasure. This has made my Derby day.
Oh, thank you so much. And it's an honor to be on radio and with you, a well-known handicapper and a guy that really understands the business. A lot of people don't really have basic knowledge and understanding of this business, don't really know what a jockey does. One of the things, when I got inducted into the Philadelphia Athletic Hall of Fame, one of the things somebody told me when I told him about that, they said, well, how do you consider a jockey an athlete? He's just sitting there. The horse is doing it. And say, people that say that are people that never rode a horse. A jockey is one of the fittest athletes out there because he's physically fit, respiratory fitness, and he also is lean. Your weight is a major part of your conditioning. So you definitely better be fit if you're going to go ride one of these 1,200-pound brute force animals, strength, strong animals. Better be fit.
I think the jockeys are more fit than just about any athlete there is in professional sports. They are strong.
We're talking with legendary jockey Tony Black here on the Tom's River Volkswagen Sports Hotline. Josh Henning, Nick Earnshaw filling in for Billy Schweim here at the Down and Derby Wine Festival over here in Camden County. Tony, you mentioned about, you need to be fit, you need to be in shape. For you, how, I'm sure, the diet was a big part of that. So talk to us about, is that, what was your diet when you were a jockey? Was it something you maintained year-round? Was it something you just did leading up to the races? How did that set up for you?
Well, one thing about being an athlete, you better focus on nutrition. And being a jockey, where sometimes your intake is limited because of your weight. You have to be physically fit, and you have to be a specific weight. You can't you can't just eat everything. So nutrition and eating food that is worthwhile eating to help keep your body in optimum strength. It's really a sport that there's animal that's dead fit underneath you, and you better be dead fit on top of it.
We're talking with Tony Black, legendary jockey from the Delaware Valley on the Tom's River Sports Hotline. Hey, Tony, it's Nick. I want to ask about today's race. There's a chance that it's going to be a muddy race out there. Talk to me about your experience in racing in different conditions, whether it's rain, etc. Just talk to me from your experiences on that.
Well, when it comes to the rain, on these modern-day racetracks, tracks get sloppy and they get muddy, but not like they used to in the 70s and the 80s. They handle these racetracks to seal them before it rains, so the rain will just run off. And they don't harrow them, they seal them, and they press them, and they help them stay together. Years ago, they didn't seal racetracks like they do in this day and age. So when you rode in the slop, you better have plenty of goggles and expect to get real sloppy and a lot of mud hitting you. I know it rained. I think it rained in Kentucky yesterday or last night. I'm not sure. I haven't looked at the TV to see what they're listing the track as. But it'll be a sealed, floated racetrack today. The one thing about the tracks when they get a little muddy and they get sealed and compressed is they sometimes come up with a speed variable. The speed horses have might carry a little better. And there is some speed in this Kentucky Derby. It's not a lot of extreme speed, but there'll be a legitimate pace out there. I imagine the pace will be in 46 and change, 47 for the first half. The horses that I like in the race I like 3 horses, and mainly because I watched them run in prep races like the Bluegrass, the Arkansas Derby, and races of that nature. And they ran well, and they won't be of any hindrance. The distance of the race won't be in any hindrance. Of course, Journalism and Sovereignty will be one of your favorites. But I like a horse that is not going to be a favorite as one of the horses that might be in the exacta, and that's the 17, Sandman. So it would be 8, 18, and 17, Journalism, Sovereignty, and Sandman. The only knock on Sandman is I believe he's a Tappet. He's by the horse Tappet. And the Tappets have never really performed well in the Derby, but you can't hold that against them. I don't believe that, the pedigree is something that you key on as they can run good or they won't run good. So I like the 8, 18, 17, and 18. So we'll just have to see how the race sets up. These horses kind of have tactical positions they can get, and we'll see just how honest the speed is. The one knock on a couple of the speed horses in this race are the one, a couple of them, they aren't fast breakers. They kind of break either attached off of the speed, and they have to be hustled up to maintain their forward position. So that's going to play into it. And depending on what that track is, exact condition of that racetrack, and I'm sure they're going to be floating it all day or sealing it, and probably won't get harrowed until late if they guarantee that the rain has stopped. And I don't know how accurate I am on the forecast if the rain has stopped already or if it rained hard last night. But the track will be floated. And these tracks in this day and age, when they seal them, they never get that real wet real wet slop throwing back at horses. And a lot of times, though, on horse races, big fields like this, the horses that might have a slight advantage are the ones that take running into the dirt, And there are horses that absolutely do not like getting hit with the flyback, the dirt. And those horses will be looking for an outside position to avoid getting hit with the dirt. And when you're talking about a 20-horse field, we had 2 scratches in here, and Baeza drew in. The 2 scratches were Grande and Rodriguez, and then Baeza drew in. So it's, 19 horses now, or 20 horses? So the position and early position in these races are very important. But you know what? Somebody was saying, oh, man, 20-horse fields, they're tough races to ride. You know what the tough races to ride are? In a jock's career, you might only have a few times that you ride in a 5 or a 4-horse field. Some of the times riding in a short field are tougher than riding in a large field of 20 horses. When you're riding in a short field, I can keep an eye. If I'm in a 5-horse field or a 4-horse field and I know the horses that are the tough horses to beat, I'll know exactly where that horse is the entire race. And I can be looking for him and put him in a compromised, poor position. In a 20-horse field, you have to be paying attention what's going on in front of you, what's going on both sides of you, and hope you have some rear view mirrors to see what's going on behind you if you're middle of the pack. So sometimes, being in a 20-horse field, you have to, of course, be aware of what's going on around you, but you don't always get a chance to know exactly where the main competitor is because he's in large field like that. I can remember riding.
Right.
I can remember riding in the Black-Eyed Susan one year. I think it was 5 horses. I think 2 or 3 of us were in trouble the whole race. It was a 5-horse field. 2 of us got stopped going in the first turn. 1 got stopped going down the backside. Another one got stopped somewhere around the middle of the turn. And here comes Danny Gargan. I forget the name of the horse he was on. He went around all of us and just wound on winning the Black-Eyed Susan. He's probably the only horse out of all 5 of them that wasn't in trouble at some point of the race. So 20 horses. Yeah, but that's the experience when you ride as many years. I started riding in 70, and I was an active rider for over 30-some years. So you kind of had every scenario thrown at you somewhere along the line. But when I rode the Derby, I think the first Derby I rode in, it was 21. I know it was 20.
Wow.
For some reason, I think it was 21. That was in 81. And I finished 4th in that race. And I'll never forget the race because I was on a horse called Classic Go-Go. And I was following who was the eventual winner, Georgie Velasquez. I says, man, if I got him, I think I got him, And I wound up following him the entire race. We went through all the same holes. And the difference was when he got to the head of the stretch and split the last group of horses, he went on and opened up 5. And I was just barely able to get around the last couple of horses and finish 4th. The next Derby I rode was in 96, and that was 20 horses. And the best shot I had got sick before the race, and I had to ride his stablemate, who wasn't nowhere near what Devil's Honor was. In fact, Devil's Honor, when he got off the shelf, he wound up winning the prep to the Pennsylvania Derby, and I won the Pennsylvania Derby on him. And I beat a horse that finished 3rd or 4th in the Kentucky Derby that wound up showing up for the Pennsylvania Derby. Horse that Mike Smith rode. I beat him. So Devil's Honor would have been tough, but I got eliminated from riding the Kentucky Derby because he got sick. The only other race that's real memorable is, and I can say I guess I picked a tough spot, was I rode the 73 Preakness. And when I rode the 73 Preakness, there was a horse in there called Secretariat. And, of course, the closest I got to Secretariat during the running of that race, because he won the Triple Crown that year, the closest I got to him was in the starting gate.
Well, we've been listening to the legendary jockey himself, Tony Black, here on the Toms River Volkswagen Sports Hotline. Tony, we appreciate you joining us, the stories. We hope you get to enjoy the Derby today. We look forward to hearing from you again in the future.
Yeah, so thanks for having me on, and keep an eye on the horses that I said, the 8, 17, and 18. That's Journalism, Sovereignty, and Sandman. They're my picks, 8, 17, 18. Box the Exacta. All right, you take care.
You heard it there.
Guys.
Thank you. Tony Black joining us. Thanks for joining us. Tony Black joining us on the Toms River Volkswagen Sports Hotline.